Howdy, folks. I'm Brian.
I'm Amber.
And here's some Reddit. Our first story is titled, Am I a Jerk for Yelling at My Husband in the Middle of the Night for This? On mobile. Formatting, so I'll be quick. So my husband and I have a 5-month-old son, and he's our first, and as new parents we struggle a lot, but no complaining as we help each other all we can. However, I've been having this tiny little issue with my husband lately. He constantly takes our son's pacifiers and chews on them like a dog for no reason other than causing them to be ruined. He does this every time he spends time with our son. He'd end up taking his pacifier from his mouth, then putting it in his mouth and start chewing on it and ruining it with his teeth. I always had to get a new one or multiple, but soon they got chewed and ruined. I asked my husband what the deal was, and he said he doesn't know and he can't help it. He cannot control himself when he sees a pacifier, he just grabs it and chews on it. I sternly told him to stop taking our son's pacifier and ruining them and causing me to spend money on new ones, but he does it again. Last night our son couldn't sleep because of the heat, and I had to wake up at 2 a.m. to him crying. Before I tried to get him to calm down, I looked for his pacifier. I found it on the counter, completely chewed and ruined. I woke up my husband immediately and asked him if he ruined the new pacifier I got for our son. He said he did. I asked if he was serious, and he tried to make light of the situation after I told him that our son can now not settle down without his pacifier. He said he'd get a new one in the morning under the condition that I stop getting in his face about it. I ended up blowing up at him and yelling at him because our son needed his pacifier to sleep and he just ruined it by chewing on it like he was a dog. He looked at me confused and said, "It's just a pacifier, why make a big deal out of it?" I had him get up and go calm our son down, and he threw a fit about how controlling I was and how unfair it was for me to yell at him in the middle of the night, and he called me crazy for making such a fuss over a pacifier. I reminded him that I already told him that it was weird and wrong for him to take and ruin our son's stuff like that, but he says that I was being too harsh on him for a small mistake. I spoke to my sister about it this morning, and she told me that he could be having stress issues and this might explain his behavior. I felt guilty since he said he couldn't help it, but I feel like he doesn't care. He doesn't even get replacements. Someone asked if there were any behavioral changes that my husband shows after our son was born. The baby talk and chewing were all I could think of. Maybe him dropping things constantly. In case it's relevant, my husband is 31 years old. Alright, OP. I'm not sure that I think that you're the jerk in this situation. What do you folks think? Do you think that OP overreacted here? Do you think that they were unreasonable with, getting angry at their husband? I have a hard time faulting OP in this situation. I really think that OP is kind of at their wit's end. They have a crying baby. They're really frustrated. They have no way to calm them down in the middle of the night. And so I feel like this was just kind of what boiled over. Maybe the husband is having a hard time controlling his actions. And that's probably something that he needs to potentially seek therapy about. Maybe this is really stressful on him having a kid and he just has some kind of instinct almost from when he was a child to use the pacifier to potentially even pacify himself. Maybe you could ask his mom if he had some kind of issue with pacifiers when he was little, if he was overly attached to them or any number of things. So it could just be something that was very comforting to him and is now comforting to him in ways that he doesn't even understand. So this does seem a little obsessive. I can't really make any there's no medical advice here, but I would definitely say that having him seek out a therapist might really alleviate the stress in the situation. The therapist might be able to help him develop other coping mechanisms other than chewing on a pacifier to help deal with stress. So if that's what's the underlying issue here. So I don't think that you're a jerk for getting upset about this. You've told him before to stop this and he continued to do it, but I think that potentially he is having some kind of trouble here if he feels compulsive behaviors to do this. So I would definitely have him seek out therapy if I were you. That's just my thoughts. Anyhow, take care and good luck. I'm going to say not the jerk. I understand the stress response, but he's an adult. Him having to get up is a consequence. Maybe you should talk to him about ordering his own things to chew on. I mean, that's also a possibility. If he chews on things chronically, then this could just be another thing he chews on. And OP replies, trust me, I did talk to him. Millions of times over, whenever I try to have a serious discussion about his behavior, he just play a game as if our son was talking, and stuff like, leave us alone, lady, leave us alone, and we'll leave you alone. Whenever I try to speak to him, he's holding on to our son, and he'll make fun of me and baby talk me like he did nothing wrong, and I'm, in his words, crazy, loud old lady who's trying to argue all the time. It's exhausting trying to get him to listen. Wow, this puts a very different spin on the whole situation. If he's mocking you with the baby and baby talking at you and, calling you, basically an old crazy lady, yeah, that's certainly not acceptable, and that's not a healthy relationship. This does not, in OP's post, they're like, we try to help each other and support each other in whatever way. This OP does not sound like help or support. This sounds like your husband is making a mockery of you. This seems even worse than before. Alright, our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for demanding that my sister pay for my fiance's damaged hearing aid? I'm a 24-year-old female and my fiance is a 26-year-old male and he suffers from a hearing impairment. It got severe in the past few months and he wears a hearing aid all the time. My sister 19 and cousin 22 were visiting 2 nights ago after going shopping. They were discussing my fiance's hearing aids and arguing about whether the device would still function after being exposed to a certain degree of heat or cold. They asked my fiance to do a little experiment, but he refused to let them touch it. While I was in the kitchen, my sister sneaked into the bathroom where my fiance was sleeping and took his hearing aid. She then used the heat setting on the hairdryer to produce a test on the device. I didn't know that the device was ruined till late one night when my fiance told me his hearing aid wasn't working properly. His hearing ability gradually declined and he started having headaches. I thought something was wrong with the device itself until my cousin contacted me on Facebook. She said my sister took the device and used the hairdryer on it and lost a bet they both made. I was furious and went over to my parents' house and confronted my sister. She was shocked and started crying after I told her that she ruined an over $5,000 worth of medical device because of a stupid bet and that she needed to pay for it immediately. My wedding is in less than 2 weeks and my fiancé can't even be aware of his surroundings without his hearing aid. So it won't happen till he gets a new hearing aid and this stuff is expensive. She freaked out after I demanded that she pay $5,000 for a new hearing aid because she didn't know it cost that much and complained that the money she has saved to pay for her tuition and otherwise she won't be able to make any progress in college. My parents begged me to postpone the wedding till they find a solution that all the parties can agree on, but postponing the wedding is going to cost us a lot more than the price of a hearing aid and my sister is refusing to pay for it. I had an argument with them because I was not only worried about the wedding, but my fiance's health. It's been 2 days, and he's been complaining from headaches and is feeling isolated. The doctor warned against going long without hearing aids, and so this is concerning. My parents said that they would pay for it themselves if they had that kind of money, but I was being unreasonable to take away my sister's education money that she had worked for, so when I could just postpone if I'm worried about not getting new hearing aids before the wedding. Essentially making it about the wedding and accusing me of choosing a party that lasts a few hours over my sister's future and education. I left their house and stood my ground despite them telling me that I was being selfish for not working with them on a solution for the issue. Further info, just to clarify, the device was working up until late last night, And then my fiance told me that he was having issues hearing and the device stopped working altogether hours later. I did not think my sister had anything to do with it until my cousin contacted me and my fiance while we were going to see his doctor to discuss the problem. Unfortunately, my sister had done similar things in the past, so it wasn't too surprising to find out that she was behind it. My parents tend to let my sister get away with things when either intentionally or unintentionally ruining others' belongings without accountability. For instance, last summer she ruined her friend's dad's car, but wasn't told anything because my parents paid for the damages. Now, because I'm family, then it was clearly wrong for me to expect either her or my parents to pay. I also wanted to add this little piece of info. While my sister was the one who did it, I'm pretty sure it was my cousin's idea. She's very rude to my fiancé and always thinks it's fine to make negative comments about him. Alright, OP, what do you folks think? Do you think that they're being unreasonable here? I would have a really hard time faulting them and saying that OP was in the wrong. She wants her sister to pay for the damage that she did. And potentially if this was your cousin's idea, maybe they can split the cost. But I think, again, if your sister hasn't been held accountable for her actions in the past, then, this might be a rude wake-up call. If she continues on this course, she may end up in jail, when she does something like this. She's been very lucky that her parents have covered up for her up to this point in time, but they're not going to be able to cover up for her forever. She needs to learn that actions have consequences, and in this particular case, it's going to be that she's going to have to take out more loans for school, or she's going to have to postpone her college education in order to, gain more money. So I would phrase it like that to your parents. Why should you have to postpone your wedding when she could just postpone her college education? If she's working a full-time job, a lot of them will pay her more than $5,000 for a year's worth of labor. So it seems to make sense to me that she could work an extra year or half a year and earn enough money or earn this money back. So that's kind of my thought here. I think that, she did this to herself. You are just trying to get your fiance's hearing aids back. So yeah, not the jerk. Anyhow, take care and good luck. Not the jerk. She stole his medical device and then played stupid little games on it. Even if she was 8, this would be inexcusable behavior. She's an adult. In what world should she not have to face repercussions for that? Paying for a new one is the least she can do. Absolutely ridiculous to play around with someone's disability like this. Edit. The more I think about this, the more upset it makes me. It isn't just the hearing aid that she's cost him. He's going through pain and suffering. I don't know what he does for a job, but surely this has an impact on it. No job is made better through headaches. Now he can't help with wedding planning in the way that he could if he wasn't coping with the loss of his medical device. Making this all about her college is completely lacking in empathy. She should be trying to find a solution, not just trying to guilt you into moving your wedding back because of her own horrible behavior. At this point, I think OP should threaten a lawsuit if they don't fix this today. And OP replies, they think me being family means I shouldn't be expecting her to pay for the damages and somehow figure out a way to get a new device. That's unacceptable. My fiancé is struggling and keeps telling me that he wants to contact his brother to get a new device as soon as possible since he can't wait anymore. But I feel like it's my sister's responsibility as well as my parents since they keep defending her like this. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving me a like. If you didn't, consider giving me a dislike. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.